Hi, welcome to third grade math motivation station. I'm Miss Kay Johnson, and today we're going to be learning about line plot graphs. Let's start off with the joke of the day. What is a math teacher's favorite season? It's summer. All right, back to our target for today. We're going to be using the measurement that we did in the lesson 5 for today's lesson when we create a line plot graph using those measurement lengths to the nearest fourth inch. The steps for making line plot graphs are as follows. First, organize the materials you are collecting in groups from smallest to largest. Then measure at least one from each group. Label that grouping with the measurement. Then you're going to label the line plot graph with the title and appropriate numbers, and then mark X's to show the data measured. So today we are going to make a line plot graph using some measurement lengths, but we first have to measure. What you see here are a bunch of pieces of ribbon. My daughter likes to make crafts and she uses ribbon, and she always wants me to buy her more ribbon. But I told her we need to see what we already have and use what we have before we buy new. So the first step I'm going to do is to put my ribbon in order, and I'm going to order it from the smallest to the largest, and some of them are the same size. So I'm just going to look at them and hold them up to each other. So these two are the same size, and they're kind of small, so I'm going to start them off here. And then I'm going to find maybe another one that fits in the same category. Yep, those are all the same size. And then this one's a little bit longer. Let me see if these two are the same. Nope, those aren't the same. This one's longer than that one. Let's look here. Oh, a little bit longer. So I'm just laying them up against each other because I really only want to measure each size once. I don't want to measure each and every one of them. So I'm just finding things that match. This one's longer. Let's see if it fits in that category. It sure does. And they're not exact, but they're pretty close. So those look the same. Nope, that one's too short. Those two are the same. Okay, that one's longer. Let's see. I think I have them in groups of matching lengths. That one's just a little bit longer. There we go. So I have this group, then one all by itself, then these four, and then another one all by itself, although yep, those are the same. And then I have these three, and they're all, oh, I have one more. Well, I wonder where that one fits. Oh, it looks like right there. So now I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to measure, but I'm only going to measure one of each group and then label that group. So this one, I think I want to measure, I'll use the whale, and I am reviewing what we did last time. We measured from the 0 point, so I've got 0. And I count my whole numbers. I've got 1, 2, 3 holes. And this, the denominator is going to be 4 because each inch is cut into fourths. And this piece goes to 3 out of the 4. So I'm going to write, this group is 3 holes. And then my denominator is 4. And if I count my jumps, 1, 2, 3, my numerator is 3. So that grouping is 3 3/4 inches. So all 4 of those are 3 3/4 inches. We'll save that for later. Let's look at the second grouping. If I lay it down, I start at 0. And this one goes to here. I count my whole number. 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. And then how many fourths does it go? This one goes 1 out of the 4 equal parts. So these are in the 4 1/4 inch grouping. Now I'm going to measure this set. Remember, they're getting a little bit longer each one. I'm going to start at the 0 point. and say it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 whole inches again. So I write my whole number 4. And then I have to count how many fourths it goes past the 4. 1, 2, 3 of those, 3/4. So this group is 4 3/4 inches. And now I'm going to measure this one. I start at the 0 again. This one looks like it lands on a whole number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this one is just 5 inches. Put that right there. And I'm going to measure the last group. So the last group, I'll start at 0. And this one stretches past the 5. You know what? I'm going to measure this one so we can see it better. If I start here, I count my whole numbers again, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 holes. And then how many fourths does it go? It counts 1, 2 more fourths, so 5 2/4. And now I'm ready to make my line plot graph. All right, so let's make that line plot graph. We're going to use the same measurement data we used while we were measuring our ribbons and put it in an organized line plot graph. The first measurement we had of the shortest length of ribbon was 3 3/4 inches. So we're going to start with that one. And the largest measurement data we had was 5 2/4 inches. So our line plot graph is going to end with that one. And now we're going to go by 1/4 inch and label each one of these lines. Now I already counted them out because I knew what we needed. And as you practice yours by yourself, you'll figure out how to count those out and how to space them out and how to organize it. I also labeled it ribbon lengths. I have to put a label on these down here, and these are actually the length in inches is what we measured. So all the measurements that we put on will be in inches. So after 3 3/4 inches will come 4 inches. And then after 4 inches will come 4 1/4 inches. And after 4 1/4 inches will be 4 2/4. So it's kind of like its own ruler. It's just a part of the ruler. After 4 2/4 inches, we'll have 4 3/4. Then after that comes the whole number 5 inches. And then 5 1/4, and then we already have 5 2/4. So as a quick review, we started with 3 3/4, then went to whole number 4, 4 4/4, 4 2/4, 4 3/4, 5 whole, 5 1/4, and 5 2/4. So now the line plot graph, we put X's on to represent the data that we already collected. And if you look at the picture on the screen, there were 4 ribbons in the 3 3/4 grouping. So I'm going to put 4 X's above 3 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that tells me that I have 4 pieces of ribbon at 3 3/4 inches. I didn't have any in the 4 inch category, so I leave that blank. And then I look at my picture for the 4 1/4 inches. I had 2 pieces of ribbon, so I put 2 X's, and I do try to make my X's about the same size. And then I look at my picture. Do I have any in the 4 2/4? Nope, I didn't. So that one's going to be blank. But I had 4 in the 4 3/4, so I'm going to draw 4 X's, one on top of each other, just like that. And then did I have any in the 5 inch? Yes, I did. I had one 5 inch piece. I had no 5 1/4 inches, but then I had 3 5 2/4. And that's how you make a line plot graph. So from that graph, I can see that my smallest measurement is 3 3/4 inches, and my largest one is 5 2/4. The one that had the fewest number I can see quickly was 5 inches, and there were two that were tied that had the most number. 4 3/4 had 4, and so did 3 3/4. So how can you do this at home? Because your teacher may call and ask you how you're doing on your line plot graphs. Well, if you have crayons, you could measure a bunch of crayons and make a line plot graph after measuring them. Or maybe you could go outside and find some leaves or sticks in the yard, and they're all probably different measurements, and you could make a line plot graph out of those. So have fun with it, and be sure to tell your teacher any problems or successes that you have. So let's review the steps for creating a line plot graph. First, you organize the materials you're collecting data about and group them from smallest to largest. Then measure at least one from each group. Then you're going to label each grouping with that measurement. Then you label the line plot graph with your title and the appropriate numbers at the bottom. And finally, you mark your X's to show the data that you measured. I hope you enjoyed learning about line plot graphs. I'm Miss Kay Johnson, and I'll see you next time.